Yo, what is up, gamers? Well, today we're going to talk about TSM versus Cloud9, the upcoming semifinals match on Saturday. Super important match, super exciting match. So let's kind of talk about the history of the teams, I guess, very briefly. So a lot of people view this as the real finals, hyped up match between friends and rivals because of Jack and Andy. Why it's kind of viewed as the real finals is TL actually had a little bit of a decline at the end of their split, and even though they've placed first seed, a lot of analysts and the players that I've been talking to who are actually scrimming between all three of these teams are saying Cloud9 or TSM is the best team, so it is a extremely important and extremely hyped up match. To do an overview of the teams, for TSM, they're a new look for an old school powerhouse. So the TSM of the old was always bottom or mid oriented. Starting with Andy and Bjergsen, they've always been a mid-oriented team, and even after that, their top laners in Hanser and Dyrus have been pretty solid tank players and mostly resource-free. For bot lane though, with Wild Turtle and Doublelift, the historical TSM AD carries, they've been very much resource-heavy Omega hyper carries. So it's a new look for TSM for them to be more top-oriented, with Broken Blade playing almost exclusively carries and counter picks. So another thing that's really different for this version of TSM is they're very proactive early and they want to do things in early game. So TSM of the old was all about scaling until mid and late game and having better team fight. But as Andy mentioned in his interview with Obli, this new version of TSM wants to be proactive early and wants to not wait to scale and team fight better, because that's not a style that really works in international play. So they've taken an active approach about being a more proactive early game team. So on the other side for Cloud9, they're the most well-rounded and the best coached team in LCS. They can carry from any lane. Licorice, Niski, Sneaky are all very solid carries, and even Svenskeren, the jungler, is an extremely solid carry player. Another thing that's really special about them is I feel like they have the best teamwork in the league. When you see this team fight, when you see this team dive, anything they just do as a team, Baron bait, any sort of play that requires all 5 members to be coordinated, I feel like they're the best at. They're very strictly coached, and the ideology of Reaper is carried out throughout the team, and you can really see it whenever they have to do anything as a 5-man. They're always on point, everyone knows their role and their job on what they need to be executing, and they do it extremely well. And another thing that's special is this is the only team in all of LCS playoffs that has a legitimate 7-man roster. I don't think it's going to be likely that we see Blabber or Golden Glue, but it is still a possibility where I feel like for TSM or TL or FlyQuest, the teams remaining in the playoffs, we're not going to see any of their sub players at all, no matter the circumstance. Now, let's get into the actual matchup. During the season, C9 was able to 2-0 TSM, but the last game was really close, and if Bjerg didn't misstep, TSM actually would have taken it. As for the first game they lost, it's a long time ago, and TSM was just starting to start up with Broken Blade and Acadian fitting into the roster, so I'm not going to really down on them for the loss. But they still are 0-2 to C9 in the regular season, just for information's sake. Now, I really think TSM is a solid team with individually skilled players, and they match up pretty well versus C9. But where TSM is strong, C9 is stronger. TSM's young top side of the map in Broken Blade and Acadian is going to be hard-pressed matching up against C9's best in the league top side in Licorice and Svenskeren. I actually do think Broken Blade and Acadian did pretty well in their series versus Echo Fox, but I'm still not completely sold on both of them, especially Acadian. He had an amazing series on Rek'Sai while he lost the first game, not doing so well on Jarvan, and there were a few games where his pathing was very suspect. I am curious to see if Acadian has depth in his champion pool beyond Rek'Sai, Sejuani, Gragas, some of the champions he's shown success on, and that's the thing that's kind of worrying me a bit whenever TSM and C9 are going to match up in the semis. As for the overall team matchup, C9 just has more to them. C9 has so much variety in their toolkit. Draft, playstyle, even players, they can win in so many different ways. While I feel like TSM is good, they're good in one or two ways. I can see TSM pick up a win or two early in the series, but as the series goes on, C9 will be doing a better and better job of stopping TSM's game plans, while I feel like TSM is going to have a harder and harder time stopping Cloud9's game plan. So yeah, overall prediction, it's gonna be 3-1 C9. I'm sorry, TSM fans. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna be doing another one on Team Liquid versus FlyQuest, so make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow's release. Also, you guys know I'm not crazy. I'm just loco. Bye!